All right, last part four. Part four. All right, so here we go. So when it comes to this idea of the family, uh, depending on what side of the fence you were on, and let's just forget middle class. Let's go, rich and poor. So regardless of you're being rich or poor, if you are a man, you are going to have your daughters with you, your parents, your wife or wives. You can have two of them, and maybe some concubines if you're rich. So there can be multiple ladies in the house that you have to support, in addition to children and, of course, the parents of your wife or wives, as well as grandparents on both sides of the family. So with all of this going on, you know that because at one point grandma and grandpa took care of their son and or daughter, and then when they had children, uh, you come into the mix and everyone's taking care of each other. As you get older and older, you are less able to take care of yourself. You can rely on the fact that you've already put in the years taking care of these other people in your life. Now they're going to take care of you. And this is just a known factor. So, elderly in Chinese society, the elderly are held in high regard. There is major familial worship, you could say. In Chinese society, it is believed, especially around this period of time, that your ancestors are always around you. They don't, when they die, they don't go. Their spirit is with you. They are around you. They perceive everything you do, so it is important to honor them. And you might even have an artifact if you belong to something like a clan. See, beyond the extended family, you have clans, which could consist of dozens or even hundreds of related family members. And they're all linked together by clan council of elders, and they gather for social gatherings and religious activities. And it might be at one of these gatherings or activities, especially a religious one, where you might, especially if you belong to a wealthier family, have what's known as a loving cup. All right, a loving cup. Basically, it's kind of like a chalice, a goblet that you would drink from. You might have it around a chain you would wear on your neck. And at these gatherings, if you're the head of the clan or your family, you might have this loving cup. And when the toast goes up, you are remembering your ancestors, and then you would drink back your wine, and you know that you are drinking from the same cup that the head of your family drank from before you, and before him, and so on and so forth. So this is a physical artifact that keeps you connected to your ancestors, who are once again always around you. Now, if you're a woman in this context, things aren't as great. Chinese society could be a bit harsh regarding the fairer sex. So if you were from a poor family, you could be, if your relatives are poor, your immediate family is poor, and you belong to a clan, well, the wealthier families might take care of you. If you are a woman and you are part of this context, then you're working out in the fields, especially if you're a farmer, with 85% chance that's likely, that you're planting rice with your father, with your husband, with your fellow family members. You're working. If you're wealthy, completely different story. Now, if you are a daughter of a wealthy man from a wealthy family or wealthy clan, you are to be wed to an influential man to basically secure more power and prestige for your family or your clan. As a woman, you don't have access to formal education like men do. You are not allowed to pursue a career in government like men are. You are not allowed to pursue an academic position or scholarly position the way men are. So if you're a wealthy woman, you're there basically as a bargaining chip to secure a stronger alliance for your family or clan by getting an influential husband. And there's a way to do that in Chinese society, particularly during the Qing Dynasty. We're going to talk about that in a moment, and the ramifications on art, actually, as a result. However, regardless if you're a woman of a wealthy class or poor class, you are clearly meant to be subordinate. In Confucian ideology, the man is like the sun, and the woman is the earth. The man provides the light and shines it down on women, uh, and illuminates and broadens their prospects. The earth cannot survive without the rays of the sun. Uh, you take it up with Confucius. Okay, so just as Mr. Master's telling you, uh, what this philosopher said back in the day is all. So, uh, legally speaking, if you're a woman, you cannot divorce your husband. You cannot inherit property. Uh, you could be divorced if you didn't produce a son for your husband, and get ready to cozy in because your husband could also take a second wife. Uh, and of course, as I mentioned before, due to the Confucian idea principle of Junshi, the husband is expected to take care and support their wives and children. Uh, Now, if you're a wealthy woman, or rather, you are a daughter of a wealthy man, let's be more accurate here, uh, you might be subjected to the practice of foot binding. This is a practice, and here's an image I'll show you right now, that is initiated when you're quite young as a girl, where they basically break both your feet by folding them in half kind of underneath each other there, to make sure they can fit into these small little dainty shoes. Get these little dainty feet. Of course, this leaves you deformed for life, but this hobbles you. The idea here is that this woman belongs to a wealthy, well-to-do husband and family. Therefore, she is not expected to work, especially not in the fields. She's of an elite class. And because she's of this elite class, her mobility is limited both as sort of a literal and a metaphorical sense. She doesn't need to work. She is taken care of, therefore her feet will be bound together. And so her immediate sphere, where she hobbles around, will be the home, where she takes care of things while her husband is taking care of business, as an example. So there's a literal and metaphorical aspect to foot binding. But it is a practice that's going to be widely taken apart by the Qing elite. And women who had bound feet were just simply more marriageable, because it was a clear sign she comes from money. And if you want to secure a powerful alliance, then this is a woman that you want to marry. So there is that incentive right there. It's estimated that 1/2 to 2/3 of the women in China had bound their feet. So when it comes to art, how on earth would you think foot binding could relate to art? Well, Europeans had experienced the grandeur of Chinese architecture, such as the imperial city in Beijing. They had taken home with them blue and white porcelain and various silks, which all flourished during this era in their production. But when you have such a large proportion of women, particularly wealthy women, who are not expected to work or go anywhere, limited mobility, well, you have access to the pocketbook, and to keep yourself entertained, as it were, you might consume literature, which is now expanding into the social novel form. Shakespeare-esque, you can even see some elements at play here. Although I'm not saying that Cao Zhu Kun is going to be influenced by Shakespeare. I doubt it very much. There could have been some exchange, perhaps, but I doubt it. I think that these are just elements that are very natural for a society like this that begin to emerge in a social narrative. as people write fictions that are kind of maybe close to home. So we start to see, with well-to-do urban dwellers, increasing mobility of the merchant class and their spending power, women who are having their feet bound, who are marrying into wealthy families or already belong to one, and they have plenty of leisure time in periods of peace. Additionally, in addition to innovations in paper manufacturing, which leads to a growth of printing in this era, coupled with higher standards of living, you have the Chinese novel beginning to emerge. So we have two big ones in this era. We have The Golden Lotus and The Dream of the Red Chamber. So The Golden Lotus is produced and written about a wealthy landlord in the late Ming period. And you can see this kind of like is a social commentary near the end of the Ming Dynasty, as it depicts the corrupt life of this wealthy landlord who cruelly manipulates those around him for sex, money, and power. The Beijing Review gives it 5 out of 5 stars. Like, so scandalous, salacious. So people are very much into this. They can relate to this. Same goes for The Dream of the Red Chamber. So this is more like the romance novel, Shakespearean-esque, you could say, by Cao Zhuquan, considered even today to be China's most distinguished popular novel. It was published in 1791. So this guy is Shakespearean in the sense that it tells of a tragic love between two young people, sound familiar, caught in the financial and moral disintegration of a powerful Chinese clan. And it certainly wasn't the Capulets, I'll tell you that. So we're seeing this popularity of literature beginning to emerge in this period, and a great expansion of East Asian culture in China. So we're going to see all these similar traits, how Europeans are treated, and the spread of Catholicism, Christianity, but let's be real, Catholicism, throughout Asia from China, and how those Christian missionaries are going to be treated, how European traders and merchants are treated. We're going to see the idea of the social novel, the romance novel, being transferred from Chinese culture to Korea, to Japan. So we're going to see a lot of these elements from China during the Ming and Qing dynasties being transferred over to other Asian cultures. And they're going to adopt them, but they're also going to put their own unique spin on them as well. But more on that in the lessons to come. Stay tuned for the next episode of Master's Class, folks. Take it easy.